I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, and welcome to our podcast, For the Health of It, episode 25. Remember to subscribe to this podcast, and I'll help you naturally get well and stay well.
The information presented on this program is not intended to take the place of your personal physician's advice, and it is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Discuss this information with your own physician or healthcare provider to determine what is right for you.
Are you suffering needlessly? Dr. Joe can give you advice on how to naturally get well and stay well. Dr. Joe Esposito.
If you watch the news, there's a lot of issues coming up about people having depression. And it really has come to the forefront with things like Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade committing suicide, Robin Williams, of course, not long ago. And so I want to talk today about depression. What is it all about? What happens to the brain when somebody is depressed, and other things that you might be able to do to help deal with it? Now, I'm not saying come off your medication. I'm not saying stop your counseling. Please understand that. This is important that you continue with that. My goal is to see what we can do aside from that, or I should say in addition to that, and hopefully get you well enough that you don't need the medication. I've been in practice 33 years. Patients come to me all the time, and I'll say, Dr. Joe, what about my high blood pressure medication? I want to get off it. I want to get off my diabetes medication. I want to get off my cholesterol medication. I tell them all the same thing. I said, listen, you can't come off the medication yet. Let's work to get you healthy enough so hopefully you won't need the medication. That's my goal, and I'm hoping that's your goal too. According to the World Health Organization, depression, this was amazing, is the leading cause of ill health and disability worldwide. Wow. It's not car accidents, it's not sports injuries, not back pain, neck pain, cold, flu. No, it's depression. And that's a pretty serious issue right there. Estimated 322 million people worldwide suffer from it. More than 16 million in the United States, including 16 million in the United States. So it's a global problem. And we need some other options to deal with. That's what we're going to talk about today. So what I want you to do is pay attention and tell your friends that they need to tune into this, because this is really important, because I know all of us have been affected by someone who's been depressed. Now, we've all been depressed. It's normal to have some depression. There's nothing wrong with being depressed. If my family member dies, I'm going to have some depression. And that's okay, and it's normal. It's when it becomes an issue. According to U.S. National Institute of Health and Wellness, 11% of Americans over the age of 12 are on antidepressant drugs. That's more than 1 in 10 people on antidepressant drugs over the age of 12. Among women in their 40s and 50s, 1 in 4 are on antidepressant drugs. That's amazing. And I know this, and I've looked up the stats, but I see this in my practice. When patients come in, number 1 is blood pressure medication, number 2 is diabetes, and then number 3 is antidepressant drugs. There are days where we'll have 5, 6, 7 new patients come into our offices on antidepressant drugs, sometimes more. And they always say, Doc, I hear you talk about this a lot. What can I do about it? So we're going to talk about that today. Financial impact on depression. World Health Organization estimates the global economic loss to households, employers, and governments is at least $1 trillion annually. And if you've ever dealt with someone who's depressed, I've done it, you can't talk to them. You can't reason with them because logic isn't there, because the brain isn't working properly. And that's the key. You think to yourself, well, logically, don't be depressed. You got a great life. You look at someone like Anthony Bourdain, top of the world, good looking, top of his career, world famous. So why would someone do something like that? The brain essentially short circuits and malfunctions, and logic goes out the window. Strongly linked to increased risk of substance abuse, diseases like diabetes, heart disease, and suicide, all linked to depression. So we want to try to get to the cause of it. According to the World Health Organization, again, a majority of people with depression suffer in silence and do not get adequate care. High-income countries such as the United States, estimated 50% of depressed people do not get treatment. In lower-income countries, 80 or 90% of the people don't get treatment. So I know I'm giving you a lot of statistics right here at the beginning of the show. I'm going to go into the crux of it pretty soon. I was going to say meat of it, but I don't eat meat. So. Someone living with depression, talking to the person who they can trust is oftentimes the first step. So I'm going to talk about some signs and symptoms you might look for. And if you see these signs and symptoms, you might want to talk to this person. Take them out to dinner, even if they're depressed, even if you're like, I don't want to be around this person. They're miserable. I get that. It's your duty as a human being to deal with that. It's going to be a few hours of your time, can make all the difference in the world. What else can we do? Well, one of the things that I wish this was being talked about in mainstream media, well, it is now because we're here, we are mainstream media, is vitamin D. So many times people that are depressed are found to have vitamin D deficiencies. Your gut is going to be a key to making sure that depression is managed. And we're going to talk about the gut and the link to the brain and what you need to do about it. Because in all my career, and I've been doing this for a long time, I've been working 35 years at my internships and everything, and I see patients 5, 6, 7 days a week sometimes. And every person who comes in, depressed, ADD, ADHD, anxiety, depression, bipolar, even suicidal, all of them have one thing in common that I found. They have a digestive problem that's never been addressed. They might have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation. The gut is so closely linked to brain function. We're going to talk about how that all comes down as we move on here. Exercise is oftentimes overlooked. So if you have somebody who's depressed or you're feeling depressed, get out of the house or get in the house and move around. But getting outside seems to work really well. So what does that mean? Go for a walk. Go to a park. Be around water. In fact, I was out kayaking the other day, and one of my friends said to me, they said, you talked about on one of your shows how being around water helps you feel good. What was that all about? And water produces something called negative ions. Most of the junk or the poisons or the toxins in the environment are positively charged. So when you have negative ions hooking onto positive ions, they neutralize each other. And so it keeps it from getting into your body. This is why you feel good around waterfalls. Niagara Falls was the honeymoon capital of the world when my parents went there for the honeymoon. So negative ions, flowing water will create that. So that's something that is, why not try it? Doesn't work. So what? Now, if you're feeling depressed, of course, always do something about it. Suicide hotline, got to give out the number, 1-800-273-TALK, 1-800-273-TALK. If you're having issues, find help. There's no shame in going out and looking for help. Counseling is amazing. I can't tell you how many patients I refer out to counselors all the time. It may be for pain management counseling. It may be for depression counseling. It may be for home issues, raising children. Anybody ever raised children, you know how tough it is in the beginning, especially when they're little, and it's exhausting. And you think to yourself, I don't want to do this. It's perfectly fine to get counseling. Suicide rate hits a 30-year high in the U.S., more so in rural areas, blamed on social isolation, economic pressures, opioid addiction, and limited access to mental care. The big thing now is opioid addiction. And in fact, one of the major schools in the area came to me not long ago, and they said, would I be willing to teach about opioid addictions? And I said, yes, I will, and alternatives and options that we may have. Because so many times people have these opioid addictions and they don't know what to do about them. And once you're on these things, I have patients all the time come in and say, Dr. Joe, I can't get off my opioids. And I totally get that. I totally understand it. So it's something we really need to consider and look at. And if you're on opioids, we want to try to get to the cause of your pain, not just treat the symptoms. I'm a chiropractor. I'm board certified in chiropractic, orthopedics, pain management, double board certified in nutrition, BS in nutrition, retired dietitian, award-winning author. This show, my radio show, is coast to coast and around the world. As far as we know, the #1 health and radio show in the world. And so we want to do everything we can to get to the cause of the problem, not just treat the symptoms. And so many people have symptoms. So we got to address that. Veterans, got to address that, and then we're going to get into what to do about it. Trust me, I'm getting there. Just got to go through my stats here. Veterans, of course, a big issue. Veterans suffer feelings of hopelessness, depression, other psychiatric disorders 2 to 3 times more often than the general population. So it's something we really want to look at and consider. If you know a veteran, be nice to them. Help them out if they can. And a lot of times you see people that are homeless, and it was an interesting thought, a story that happened to me. When in the Atlanta area several years ago, there were people jumping off bridges, and it would tie up traffic. And of course, the biggest thing was, get off you're going to tie up the traffic and jump off the bridge. And now they put fences up around all the bridges in Atlanta, and that was helpful. And it was a trend because we had copycat people coming on. But the problem was this. The problem was that everyone thought, boy, you're really tying up my day. I felt the same way, to be honest with you. But somebody said to me, they said, imagine how desperate this person must be, how distraught they must be for them to get to this point in life. And it really changed the way I looked at things. Wow, what's going on in their lives? So reasons for high rates of suicide among veterans appear to be a combination of financial struggles, having difficult life and death decisions on a regular basis. They saw people die. They killed people sometimes, and it becomes a real big issue. So dealing with that can become a problem, and that's something that counseling is very good at. But we want to talk about some non-drug solutions for depression. I'm not saying come off your drugs. I'm not saying stop your therapy. What I'm saying is let's come up with some other solutions. Your nutrition is so important when it comes to depression. Food has an immense impact on your brain and the type of food you eat. The other day, friend of mine who owns a pizza parlor. Pizza parlor. Is that very New Jersey of me? Pizza joint. That's another New Jersey thing. But my friend calls me up. He says, Espo. Esposito. Hey, Espo. Because all Italians call each other by their last names. Hey, Espo, I want you to come to my pizza place, and I got this new vegan cheese. I want you to try it, because if anybody would give me an honest opinion, you're my friend for 30 years, and I know you'll give it to me straight. So I went to his place, and I had some pizza, and it was really good. I have to say it was good. But it was on wheat dough, and I usually don't eat a lot of wheat, but I said I'm going to do my friend a favor. And I just had 3 slices. I mean, they weren't even big slices, maybe, I don't know, two size of $2 bills maybe. And that night I woke up around 3 o'clock, phlegm in my throat. So what the heck's that all about? I usually don't wake up with that. And the next day I really felt tired and fatigued. So that little bit, now again, I don't eat a lot of bread, so I'm more sensitive to it, but just that little bit made a difference. And then I see people having chicken wings and French fries for lunch with a soda. And I'm like, how do you do that? How do you put that in your body? And everyone I've ever coached in nutrition, there've been probably tens of thousands between radio and books and TV and everything else. Everyone I've ever coached, they'll come to me and they'll say, if they do what I say, Dr. Joe, I did what you said. I had no idea this is what feeling good feels like, because they've been sick all their lives and they've never known what it's like to be healthy. And so it's kind of exciting. And so when you get off these bad foods, when you give up what I call the 7 deadly sins, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener, you see a dramatic change in your moods. And then, inevitably, people will go back to their old ways. When they go back to their old ways, I'll say, how did you feel? And they'll say, I felt awful. I was moody. I was depressed. I was anxious. I was short-tempered. So once you get the body feeling good, you know the difference. Most people don't even know the difference. So you want to avoid processed foods at all costs. Now, when I say processed foods, I say jokingly, but kind of seriously, tongue-in-cheek, anything with a label on it. So it has a label on it with ingredients. Again, that's not a true fact, but you want to try to stay away from those foods because chances are they may have chemicals in them. And we're going to go through step by step what these chemicals are and how they affect your body. But fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds would be the ideal scenario as to what you should be eating every day. I eat fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds every day. And I love it. And once you get into this, you're going to realize that I was right. You'll say what everybody else says, Dr. Joe was right. And perfect example. Whenever a holiday comes up in my life or a celebration comes up, we got more TV stations carrying the show. We got more radio stations carrying the show. The books were selling like crazy, whatever it is. People say, let's go out and celebrate. I celebrate every day. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not doing and eating what I want to eat. I don't want a piece of ice cream. Well, let me take that back. I do want a piece of ice cream cake. Will I eat a piece of ice cream cake? Absolutely not. Because if I put that ice cream cake in my body, I'm going to feel awful. And so to me, it's not worth celebrating. And I don't eat ice cream anyway, but if you had that, you're going to feel terrible. A friend of mine went out to dinner. My friend Tim and I went out to dinner the other day. And he's a mountain biker. He mountain bikes for miles and miles and miles. And he said, got home from work the other day, had some ice cream. Said, I was at the store, I just wanted to buy some ice cream. Bought some ice cream. Next day, he says, I couldn't pedal up the hill. Now, this guy's a mountain biker. He's got powerful legs. Couldn't pedal up the hill. He says, what's wrong with me? Do I sick? Do I have the flu? He goes, the ice cream. That's what it was. So you really are going to be amazed what happens when you start cutting the bad foods out of your diet. Again, the alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. And I know if you're a new listener, you're thinking, but Dr. Joe, that's my whole life. That's all I ever eat. It's okay. You'll get over it. I promise you. Once you start changing your diet, you'll see the difference. So you got to address that. Cut out the sugar. Well, the number one thing you got to cut out is artificial sweetener. That's the worst of the worst. And a friend of mine was at work the other day, and she works for a big corporation. And she said, I'm waiting in line to get a cup of tea. They had a tea machine there. She goes, guy in front of me has some tea. He turns around to me and says, you don't by chance have any stevia, do you? And she said, no. And he picked up a packet of the artificial sweetener. He says, there's this guy, Dr. Joe, and he says that this stuff will kill you. And she just lit up. She goes, I let him talk. She didn't know that we knew each other very well. And he just went on. And this guy, Dr. Joe, he's so smart. And he talks about the artificial sweetener, how it affects the brain. It's aspartic acid, phenylalanine, and methyl esters. And she said, he's a very good friend of mine. And this guy like, oh my God, you really know him. So that's really cool. And then he said something that really was profound. And she started crying to me when she told me the story. She said, he said to her, I had brain cancer. And I had no idea that artificial sweetener could be linked to brain cancer. And I heard Dr. Joe talk about that on the radio one day, and I gave up my artificial sweetener. And I think he saved my life. And she started crying. And then the guy went on to talk about his moods, how his mood changed when he gave up the artificial sweetener, blah, blah, blah. So it kind of ties in today about what we're talking about with depression, because aspartic acid, phenylalanine methyl esters, which is artificial sweetener, aspartame, can cause the brain cells to fire faster than they're supposed to and literally burn out your brain cells. So it's pretty exciting that hopefully we saved this guy's life. But if you're doing artificial sweetener, it could absolutely positively be having a major adverse effect on your moods. Where's artificial sweetener found? Everywhere. Over 8,000 foods. Sodas, of course, cookies. They bake with it now. They put it in yogurts. And it worries me because the studies are there. It's pretty clear that these things are dangerous. And you're starting to see, which makes me happy, we're starting to see a lot of companies pull away from the artificial sweeteners. You're seeing some of the major soda companies now. There's one soda, it's a cola soda, and it's made with pure cane sugar and stevia, half and half. Slowly getting the public to transition away from those artificial sweeteners, and I'm very happy with that. And also pure cane sugar, because if it's made with high fructose corn syrup is worse than plain sugar. Because what happens is if you're doing high fructose corn syrup, it's 50% glucose. Well, plain sugar is 50% glucose, 50% fructose. High fructose corn syrup is 55% fructose, 45% glucose. That 5% makes such a difference. Because fructose has to be processed in your liver to be converted into glucose. And when it's converted into glucose, you create something called uric acid. And as a chiropractor, I'm very concerned about that. Uric acid gets in your joints and it hurts. And so if you're having neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, we want to give you chiropractic care. We also want to make sure that you're getting the right foods in your body. That's why at my office, we do chiropractic work. Of course, we deal with car accidents, sports injuries, workers' comp injuries. But we also do a nutritional workup on our patients. And even other chiropractors, medical doctors, medical schools will send their patients to us to say, I want you to check the nervous system, see if they have pinched nerves. I want you to check the digestive system, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, and check their diet. Will you do that for our patients? And of course, my doctors always say yes. So if you want to make an appointment, come see us. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge in the Atlanta area. We'd love to have you come in. Go to my website, drjoe.com, very simple, drjoe, drjoe.com. You can call us or make the appointment online. We accept people with most insurances, car accidents, sports injuries. Sometimes we may not be in network with your insurance. We might be out of network with your insurance. Let us do the research if you have insurance, because the insurance world is extremely complicated. We've been doing it for 33 years and it's still complicated. So don't get nervous if you don't see our name on your list. There's probably a reason for that. If you've ever been in a car accident, if the car was damaged, you were damaged 100% of the time. So you need to get that checked and get it fixed right away if you can. Because the longer you wait, the more damage there is. But if you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com, and we'd love to have you come in and see us. We talked about artificial sweetener affecting the brain. It's not just what you put in your body, it's what you don't put in your body. And I want you to stay away from those bad foods, and I need you to do more fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Years ago, somebody came to me and said, Dr. Joe, what would you consider the world's best supplement? And I said, if somebody could take fruits and vegetables and put them in a pill, that would be the world's best supplement. And so what I did is I sat down with some chemists. I went out to California, sat with my chemists out there, and we created something called Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Now, Essential Source is fruits and vegetables in a powder form. We juice the fruits and vegetables, take the water and the sugar out. That becomes a key player because we're talking about depression here. Sugar is bad for depression. Then we had prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, and a complete multivitamin to get the colon working properly so that you can absorb the nutrients, so you can produce the neurotransmitters in your brain to make your brain work. So I take Essential Source and Super Greens every day. Super Greens alkalizes the system. It's loaded with minerals. Essential Source they're two different things. And I take a scoop of each, they're powders, shake it up in a jar, drink it every day. A day doesn't go by that I don't have it. Sometimes twice a day. Now, if I'm going for a hike, if I'm going to do a bunch of radio shows or TV shows, if I'm going to do a bunch of lectures, got a busy day at the office with patients, I will go ahead and take a double dose. Tastes great. Now, I don't do milk. I don't do cow's milk. I'll do coconut milk, almond milk. Shake it up and drink it. Tastes great. Great for you. Relatively inexpensive. If you want more information about that, you can go to my website, drjoe.com, or also on Amazon. But I suggest that everyone, almost everyone, take the Super Greens, the Essential Source. Do it for a month. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So what? You wasted some money. But if it does work, which it will, you'll be very happy. We talked about vitamin D deficiency also. I take in the winter, I take about 5,000 international units of vitamin D. I have something on my website called Dr. Joe's Vitamin D with K2. K2 is another supplement that you need to build bone mass. And I take the vitamin D 5,000 units in the winter. Now, in the summer, I try to get out every day. In the morning, I'll go out in my yard. I'll work. I'll pull weeds. I'll pick blueberries. I got fig trees. And so I do a lot of outside work if I can. But short sleeves, shorts if you can, face exposed. 10, 15 minutes a day of sunlight is all you need. You'll get about 20,000 units of vitamin D3. Get your blood work done. When you get your blood work done, check your vitamin D. If it's low, start taking it. If it's normal, keep doing what you're doing. Okay, but I take it every day just to make sure. It's very, very hard to overdose on vitamin D. I mean, you could, yeah, but it's going to take a lot to overdose on it. But those are all on my website, drjoe.com. So the sunlight is going to be important because vitamin D deficiency predisposes you to depression, and that's what we're talking about today. So you want to optimize your vitamin D level. Make sure you're getting your sun. Now, I've done shows before. If you go to my website, drjoe.com, we have hundreds, well over 1,000 hours of archived shows and lectures. They have videos, too. If you like videos, we have videos of lectures and audios. And if you go to the website, I've done shows on sunscreen. And there's good kinds and there's bad kinds. But the ultimate sunscreen is get out of the sun. Because if you're in the sun for more than 20 minutes a day, you run the risk of causing damage to your skin. So 20 minutes in the sun, get out of the sun. Put a hat on, put some baggy clothes on. Anybody ever been to a Caribbean island or tropical areas? The natives don't wear sunscreen. They look at the tourists doing this all day, rubbing the sunscreen on. They're laughing at us. What do they wear? They don't wear shorts and T-shirts either. Long sleeve, baggy shirts, baggy pants to let circulation through. How about in the desert? Right? They wear robes to let circulation through, but to keep the sun out. So 10, 15 minutes a day is what you need. More than that, even 20 minutes, more than that can start causing problems. But make sure you're getting your vitamin D. It's so, so important to make sure you're getting that. Omega-3 fatty acids. You have to get your omega-3 fatty acids because the omega-3s are so important for brain function. And there's 3 types of omega-3 fatty acids. You get from animal source. Well, you can get it from meat too. But the main sources for supplements are fish, krill, and algae. Now, fish oil, not my favorite. You run the risk of getting toxicity from the omega-3 fatty acids, mercury toxicity. And there's zero need for mercury in a human body. So if you're putting mercury in a human body, it's going to cause some damage. Okay, so zero need for mercury right there. So fish oil, not my favorite. If you do fish oil, make sure it's certified mercury-free. And they have those out there. They're the more expensive ones. They're not the ones where you get, 5-gallon jug of omega-3 fatty acids for $10 or whatever. It's a little more expensive. Krill oil, is a better choice. Krill oil comes from little things. They look like shrimp. And it's still an animal product, but you have less risk of mercury. And they're in what's called a phospholipid form. And the phospholipid form is easily absorbed, better than the fish oil. My favorite is the algae oil. That's the one I take every day. Now, the reason the algae oil is great because that's where the fish get their omega-3s from. Fish don't make omega-3s. Fish get it from smaller fish. You get it from smaller fish who eat the algae. So eating the algae is going to be the key for you to get the omega-3 fatty acids. I put it in Dr. Joe's Super Greens. We have chlorella and spirulina in there. Remember the supplements we talked about that I think everybody should be taking, and you should too. So I put it in there, but the algae oil is the one I take. I take 1 gram a day, and it's more expensive, but it's the best form out there. Now, this is the thing. When you're eating right, you're getting chiropractic care, you're getting your spine lined up, you're getting rid of back pain and neck pain and shoulder pain and headaches. So many of you have suffered so many years needlessly on. Every day, patients say, why didn't I come sooner? I don't know why I didn't come sooner. When you get into this lifestyle, it's so much less expensive than what you're doing right now. I always say Super Green is an essential source for breakfast every day, and then I put together a supplement protocol for each one of our patients. I take Dr. Joe's B vitamins. Those are on the website as well. In the winter, I take omega-3s. Those are on the website. I'll take an adrenal support because as you get older, the adrenal glands start to poop out. So I'll take adrenal support as well. And that's my supplement protocol. Yours might be different if we sit down and set one up. But that's why I have all those supplements on the website, because you have control of what you're eating. So those are on the website, drjoe.com. Again, if you want to make an appointment to come see us, drjoe.com as well. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge in the Atlanta area. Also online, if we want to do an online consultation, we can do that too. And that's just for nutrition then. But the algae oil is so important. You want to get that algae oil into your system. Really important to do that. B vitamins, kind of brushed on that already. Low dietary folate is risk for severe depression. Raising your risk by as much as, think about how much, if you're low in folate, one of the B vitamins, how much that might increase your risk of depression? 300%. That's insane. A 300% increase in depression for something as simple as a cheap B vitamin. Absolutely yes. So it's really important you do that. Vitamin B deficiencies include B1, B2, B3, B6, B8, B12, and you have the ability to produce symptoms such as neuropsychiatric diseases. B12 deficiency can contribute to depression and which affects 1 in 4 people. Now, what I do is I'm a vegan. I don't eat animal products. You get your B12, some B12, if you're eating animal products, because B12 comes when bacteria start digesting dead animal flesh, and they spit out the waste product. That's your B12. But I take it as a supplement. I think you should too. And the other cool thing about taking B vitamins is you get this rush of energy. You feel so good. And so people say, well, Doc, I can't give up my coffee. I'm tired all the time. You know what? Simply start taking some B vitamins and some adrenal support. You'll be buzzing, kind of like I do. It's really neat stuff. So folks, got to run. Time's running out. And catch you next time. Thanks for listening to For the Health of It. Remember to subscribe to this podcast, and I'll help you naturally get well and stay well. You can also listen to and call into my radio show live Sunday evenings from 7 to 9 Eastern Time on WSBRadio.com and on a WSB Radio app.